Kadambini, and they teach you how to what nishta looks like how to attain nishta. First you have to hear. The nishta can only be a Kadambini, and even more recently I've learned that nishta isn't had, and so you can actually have darshan of Krishna, like you can actually see Krishna, which is I don't know if I'll ever have nishta in this life or 10 lives. We'll see. Everyone can see the deity. Everyone maybe can see the association.
The question is with the Brihad Bhagavatam, it is explained that the current body cannot have the senses to see Krishna. So the sense that see Krishna in that case is the mind.
Well, yeah, it's mostly uppercut, so not manifested. Krishna, he can do anything. He can manifest, like he does. He has prakat pastimes, but it's on his jurisdiction when he comes and does that, and only certain beings are eligible to be part of those pastimes. But the advanced devotee from the uppercut can have you could say the Gaudiya Darshan, to be able to see Krishna, if Krishna so finds them
within the prakat,
Well, no, it won't be in the prakat. So only they will see. So it'll be uppercut to everyone else, but it'll be prakat to them. But it's in the uppercut type of revelation. So meaning it's unmanifest to everyone else, but the devotee has such an elevation that they can see. But Krishna only will let that come through pure bhakti, So that's. But these two verses, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he actually adds the third, the one after, and this by doing this process, you can completely overcome the modes of nature. That's the third verse beyond what we chant in the morning Bhagavatam class. By regular hearing of the message, ideally, you don't hear from me, you hear from somebody who has this transcendental platform, But by good fortune, we have something, there's maybe some realization here from the devotees, but we have the purports and the realizations of Srila Prabhupada, who could see Krishna, so he can give us hints and indications on where to go, how to move forward, so that when we do have the ability to associate with a Mahabhagavat, maybe then one, we might be able to recognize them, and then two, we might be properly attuned to actually receive the mercy that they are giving, because if we associate with them unfavorably, then yes, we won't get the desired result. By regularly hearing the messages of the Lord, you'll cleanse your heart of material desires, and slowly, maybe even not that slowly, then eventually, you can Nityam Bhagavata Seva, if you actually do regular Bhagavat Seva, so meaning you regularly are approaching the book Bhagavat, that's really our best bet here. We have the book Bhagavat, and then we have then we transfer that service over the person Bhagavat, if that type of person is in our life, like Gurudev or someone of a transcendental platform, then, almost all that's troublesome to the heart will be destroyed, and love for the personality of Godhead will be established naishtiki, so it's nishta. He is steady, fixed, always there. You don't waver anymore. It's not like the anartha process in the mind is. There is still some tendency of anartha there, even at that point, but it's not like the anartha process now pulls you away. You're going to keep going. And once you achieve nishta, then actually it's an unstoppable force at that point. You will eventually, by the power of what you're doing now, through your determination and steadiness, then you'll eventually achieve ruchi, like a deep taste. And then once you're there, then there's no stopping it. And then it's going to snowball back to Godhead, and it's an unstoppable force. So it would be ideal we can at least reach this nishta stage. So
Is this correlates to, or there's no correlation between Madhyamadikari, is Madhyamadikari Nishta?
well, you can at Madhyam Adhikari you could achieve Nishta. Actually, Uttam Adhikari begins at Ruchi. So at Ruchi, then Uttam Adhikari begins. But Madhyam Adhikari, that's the goal of the Madhyam Adhikari. We can reach Nishta. And then once we can reach Nishta, then, then it won't, it may take some time, but it's assured at that point. You're going to, you may make some offense and drop down below Nishta again, but it's almost guaranteed. Now where you've reached in your spiritual life, you're going to finish the path. You've seen enough. But now the fan has stopped spinning and it's not going to get plugged back in. But anyhow, yeah, it's we can't do it on our own. That's why it's Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. So regularly serving the Bhagavat, and it's not just the book Bhagavat. We have to find person Bhagavat, and it's like this. So we're here, as devotees, we're getting maybe some glimpse of what a person Bhagavat has told us, and maybe some realization is given. We do have the works of our acharyas, where we can, do the best we can with whatever consciousness we have in studying. But ultimately, person Bhagavat is the ideal situation, the needed situation actually, to really make deep advancement. So anyway, but we do the best with what we have. And we do have this book Bhagavat right here, and we do have the purports of person Bhagavats. So, shall we begin? Just a little, you guys were here yesterday, but it was talking about Dhritarashtra's yoga, Ashtanga yoga, that he was performing. From asanas to pranayama, pratyahara, withdrawing the senses, dharana, learning to concentrate, dhyana, in fixed concentration, you actually achieve meditation. So you can actually maybe study in your chanting. Okay, if you actually are able to concentrate for 13 seconds straight on, let's say the ishta of your mantra, you say your mantra is directing towards Radha and Krishna. Are you able to actually focus on them and that for 13 seconds? Then you actually achieve dhyana. And then if you, in prolonged dhyana, prolonged meditation, you might even only get a glimpse of meditation in your whole 16 rounds or 32 or 64 or 128 and so on. You might only get a little bit of dhyana actually there. But then in being fixed in dhyana is called samadhi. So this is the Ashtanga yoga practice actually. It's kind of the technical process. How do you do it? How do you do Ashtanga yoga? In bhakti, that will be accomplished without you even trying to go through the technicalities. Through the love and the devotion, you'll just automatically be catapulted through that. You'll already be absorbed. I mean, this is mentioned in the Bhagavatam, how the gopis are the greatest of yogis. Not because of their technical skills at all. It's only because they just have pure love for Krishna, so they have such a deep meditation on Krishna that they achieve that which the yogis can never achieve. But anyway, even to approach these pastimes in the 10th canto, it's recommended to systematically study. As you go through, because there's lessons to learn, and actually there's stages of anarthas that the Bhagavatam helps purify one. So when you learn from, it's also like if say you want to have darshan of Krishna, actually, to have darshan. So even there's an art in archana how to have darshan. So there's an art to how to actually approach the deity. So you don't want to just look at the deities and go right to their eyes. Hey, wow, you look so beautiful. Actually, the proper archan, how do you have, to look at the deities in the archan process is from the feet up to the ankles. It is a matter of respect. And similarly, when studying the Bhagavatam, it's said to be the body of Krishna, the literary body of Krishna. And the first two cantos are the 2 feet. And the second canto is, now the legs and the shanks. And it goes on like that, up the body. So there's things that we have to gain from these first few cantos. And actually most people, these first two cantos are like the most important thing. Everyone's always praying. Every acharya is praying for the feet of Krishna, right? And showing everyone. So in these first two cantos, we have to pay the most attention because this is the most important thing for us. Because we cannot try and just skip. I'll make my way right up to the juicy, the romantic pastimes. That's for me. Not yet. It can be. It's possible, but not right now. So right now we're learning about Ashtanga Yoga and Dhritarashtra. I'll just forget. So why don't we chant Mangal Charana? So, one of you do it. That way, if something good can be said, maybe. Guru can come to me and say approaching the book Bhagavatam, and so we just give your best, the best you can give, the main service. That's why Prabhupada translates it out is by regular hearing or by regularly attending classes on the Bhagavatam. Your best service we are doing is to actually hear. So try your best when approaching, and then maybe by good fortune, Krishna will give us a deep association of a person Bhagavat. We have a good opportunity potentially tomorrow. I've heard many wonderful things about Mukunda Prabhu. So it's very likely that he is a person Bhagavat coming to help us. So let's begin. Vijnanatmani samyojya Kshetragye pravilapyatam Brahmanyatmanamadare Gatambaram ivambare. Vijnana, purified identity. Atmani, in intelligence. Sangyojya, that's really tough for me. Perfectly fixing. Kshetragye, in the matter of the living being. Pravilapya, merging. Tam, him. Brahmani, in the supreme. Atmanam, pure living being. Adare, in the reservoir. Gata ambaram, sky within the block. Eva, like ambare, in the supreme sky. Now, Narad is speaking to Yudhishthira of this portion here. He says, Dhritarashtra will have to amalgamate, that's like merge, his pure identity with intelligence, and then merge into the Supreme Being with knowledge of his qualitative oneness as a living entity with the Supreme Brahman. Being freed from the blocked sky, he will have to rise to the spiritual sky. This is actually very nice. This is giving us like hints on what the process is to reach Vaikuntha. But, or at least the Brahma Jyoti, the effulgence, beyond this blocked sky or material universe with its coverings. Prabhupada says, the living being, by his desiring to lord it over the material world and declining to cooperate with the Supreme Lord, contacts the sum total of the material world, namely the Mahat Tattva, and from the Mahat Tattva, his false identity with the material world, intelligence, mind, and senses is developed. This covers his pure spiritual identity. By the yogic process, when his pure identity is realized in self-realization, one has to revert to the original position by amalgamating the 5 gross elements and the subtle elements, mind and intelligence, into the Mahat Tattva again, thus getting freed from the clutches of the Mahat Tattva. He has to merge in the existence of the Supersoul. In other words, he has to realize that qualitatively he is non-different from the Supersoul, and thus he transcends the material sky by his pure identical intelligence, and thus becomes engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. This is the highest perfectional development of spiritual identity, which was attained by Dhritarashtra by the grace of Vidura and the Lord. The Lord's mercy was bestowed upon him by his personal contact with Vidura, and when he was actually practicing the instructions of Vidura, the Lord helped him to attain the highest perfectional stage. So, all sadhusanga, Dhritarashtra gets this grace. And Dhritarashtra was so sinful, and he gets this type of, benediction. So it doesn't matter what you've done at this point. It matters what you do now, but it doesn't matter what you've done. Dhritarashtra, even Vaishnava aparad, some of the worst Vaishnava aparads, stripping Draupadi naked in the courts, intriguing to kill pure devotees, associates of the Lord. But still somehow, by sadhusanga, through the grace of Vidura, who had affection for him, he was able to overcome all of this and be situated properly. So, a pure devotee of the Lord does not live on any planet of the material sky, nor does he feel any contact with material elements. His so-called material body does not exist, being surcharged with the spiritual current of the Lord's identical interest, and thus he is permanently freed from all contaminations of the sum total of the Mahat Tattva. He is always in the spiritual sky, which he attains by being transcendental to the 7-fold material covering by the effect of his devotional service. The conditioned souls are within the coverings, whereas the liberated soul is far beyond the cover. So this is actually pretty wild to think about. But you could see someone, they could be prakat, you could see their body in the material world, but they're actually not of this world. They're in the world and not of it, as the Christians say. And how? Because what's actually keeping us in the material world is the sense of the false mind, the false intelligence, and the false ego, which is a subtle body thing. It's a body that's finer, that's animating and controlling the gross body. But through the bhakti process, the subtle body actually gets dissolved, and it's no longer entangled in the Mahat Tattva, which is the original kind of substance of the ignorance of this world. So these transcendental personalities, they actually can exist and be here walking among us, and their body is prakat, but now everything's spiritually surcharged. They're using it only in the Lord's service. That's all that their body is good for. And they don't have a subtle body anymore. They have the actual swarup. They have their actual real identity. And what is that? Do you know? What's that?
Krishna.
Yes, Krishna Nitidas, Jivara Swarupa Hoy, Krishna Nitidas, Krishna Artatas the Shakti Beta Beta Prakash. Right? So the Jivara is the Jiva, us, Swarupa, our real form. Ahoy is Krishna's Nitya Das, eternal servant. So at some point, some Nitya Das may come and get you and reveal to you your Nitya Das nature, and then if that happens, you can walk around knowing your nature, and the complete ignorant identification with the material world, which is ensnaring us here in the right now, will be dissolved actually, and you could still be walking around in body, and everyone will see your body. Well, everyone who's within the line of vision will still see the body, but actually you're not bound anymore by the false ego. You're not bound by ignorance. So this is actually this is Vidura. Vidura he is no longer bound by ignorance. He was in light. What's that? Well, first Vidura, and then Dhritarashtra is now achieving. But so the Vidura is doing, and he's walking around, and he comes to Dhritarashtra, and then he shakes him loose of the Mahat Tattva, and he had such a deep covering, Dhritarashtra. He was making so many Vaishnava aparads. He was living so pathetically and miserably, and yet through the contact of sadhu, completely washed, and now he's good, well situated. So now it's like kind of talking through some of the processes here. I don't know them. I wish I could tell you more. But yes, you just have to sit in meditation, and then you can merge the elements of your body and your false ego back in their places. I don't know any of that. I'm not...
I think it's in the previous verse.
Yeah. They're telling something, but it's not like... I don't know, maybe you have some realization on it, but we get the words of the scriptures, but realization is not not going to be there because we don't know how to do. Yes. So you can try your best to try this thing, amalgamating your pure identity. Yes. So what does that one say? Can turn the senses towards the absolute personality of God and become immune. So
we read that.
No, not yet.
Yeah, here.
Oh, this one helps control the mind and frees one completely from thoughts of...
That's kind of preliminary.
Yes. So, but it will actually describe this process in detail in the Bhagavatam. But again, unless you're learning from someone who knows how to do that, it's going to just be like an intellectual, like, wow, that's fascinating. So yeah. But that's what's being described, how you can merge into your absolute identity. And you could also, Mayavadis, they can merge into the Brahmajyoti like this as well. So this is also a preliminary understanding. But what we would be hoping for is merging into the Shantaras or Shantarati.
Isn't it eternal if you merge into the Brahmajyoti?
That's what they say, but it is...
For the Mayavadis,
yeah, but for whatever reason, I'm not really expert on this. Maybe Prem-Prajan can also talk like this about this and clarify if he knows. I'm sure he does know something on the subject matter. But they say we all began in actually the Brahmajyoti, and then the capability to fall is in the Brahmajyoti because it's not our eternal position. We're not actually, the soul is not created to be merged into God.
There's
But
multiple comments by Prabhupada that says that the Mayavadis, they fall back
yes,
down.
I've seen that, and also I think Jiva Goswami also, he more elaborates on this, but that it is a spiritual position, but it's not a permanent spiritual position, because actually the Lord doesn't hate the soul that much, that he would give them a permanent situation. But that is an eternal objective. That's their objective in going there. But actually that's said to where we start. That's all the souls start there, but Krishna gives the ability to fall from there by mercy actually. It's out of love that Krishna lets the soul fall from there. And then in that, the soul can discover the function of being a servant of God. And Krishna much would rather, and the soul much better enjoy like that. But they have to want that. Krishna won't force the love on anyone. Oh yes, if even, let's say, I'm a boss in this world. I'm not, but let's say I'm a boss, and I'm telling people, you have to do this, and they really don't want to do that, but I'm saying like that. So maybe to my face, they're like, oh my God, all right, yeah, here, look what I'm doing. What's that? Maybe it may look like that in one way, but not really. In any way, Yeah, but unless and I'm learning just by managing some things and sometimes managing with people, unless they really want to do it and it can be an act of love, it's not so good. It's not so good to try and force. So Krishna, he's the same thing. He's not going to force you to act in the position of servant. So, he gives a world and a whole situation where, okay, you try to be the master and you do this, that, and the other thing. And then that's us here. But out of mercy, we are spiritual. So how did the spirit fall? How did the spirit fall? It's impossible. How can something beyond the modes of nature fall? Unless we come from a fallible position, and that's the Brahmajyoti. So we have to go in that position. You can return that to that position. Actually, in my astrology, it says that's where I've achieved this before. I was an impersonal yogi, and that was my thing. And actually, it was actually very natural to me in my youth to just kind of return to those type of meditations. It was very natural. As soon as I just needed like a little drug-induced flicker of a revelation, and I was like, I'm going right back to it. And then I was doing very quickly, actually. But before I ever heard of what my chart says, it was about my past. But anyhow, that's not the pure thing. I mean, it is a pure-ish thing. It's beyond the modes of nature, but it's still a fallible position, and you can fall. But Vaikuntha, you won't fall from Vaikuntha, unless you come for service. And like Hiranyakashipu and Ravan, they were Jai and Vijay in Vaikuntha. They came for service. They actually saw that the Lord, in his Narayan form, he had the desire to fight. But if you're in the spiritual world and everyone's a pure devotee there, who will you fight with? You cannot fight. So then also, if the Lord comes, let's imagine you're like a very good fighter, and you say, I need a good fight. Or, let's say not even fights. Let's say you're a chess player, and you say, I'm a very good chess player. You wouldn't go to a kindergarten class and challenge kids for chess. No. Why would you do that? I'm not going to, I beat a kindergartner, so what? You'll be like, no, they won't know how to move the pieces. It'll be a pathetic exchange. So the Lord can't just come to this material world and just start beating up on all the kindergarten, like the neophyte, the pretty much infinitesimal beings here. So if he comes to this world and there's someone's worth fighting, why is he's the devotee? So the devotee is realizing, and the Lord is also, but he is having this in his heart, but the devotee, Jai and Vijay, they realized. So then the whole pastime that you'll see later in the Bhagavatam was set up so that they can actually come. So yeah, this is the conclusion of our acharyas, Vishwanath Chakravarti, Jiva Goswami, and many now, they're still giving this realization. And that's why, but sometimes you can get some misunderstanding. Actually, Ramapad Swami talked about this, and my Guru Maharaj talked about this when they came. Because it's some people can read and not understand the deeper purport that, and think that you can fall from Vaikuntha. If you can fall from Vaikuntha, what's the point of going? I don't want to go to Vaikuntha because in eternal time I'll eventually make a mistake and then I have to fall and I'll be right back in this position again. What's the point? Why will I do all this work to just fall down again? But that's not the position. There is something worth working for. And Krishna says it, Janma karma chame divyam yaveti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sarjana. You don't have to come back here if you know the transcendental activities of my birth, the transcendental nature of my birth and activities. So he says, actually. But anyway, the Bhagavatam, this is very nice. But anyway, let's read 56. Dvastamaya guno darko Nirudha karanashayaha Nivartita kilahara Astesthanurivachalaha Tasyantarayo maivabhu Sanyasta kila karmana Dvasta, being destroyed. Maya guna, the modes of material nature. Udarka, after effects. Nirudha, being suspended. Karana ashayaha, the senses in the mind. Nivartita, stopped. Akila, all. Ahara, food for the senses. Aste is sitting. Sthanu, immovable. Eva, like. Achala, fixed. Tasya, his. Antaraya, hindrances. Ma eva, never like that. Abhu, be sanyasta, renounced. Akila, all sorts. Karmana, material duties. Translation, Nard saying, he will have to suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and will have to be impervious to interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path. This is actually very nice because for us, this is our goal in japa. We're to suspend all of the actions of the material senses. And you're actually internally trying to put your consciousness. Now, the process is you're calling for grace because you're going to do it with your own technical ability. But with the right mood, the Lord will have mercy on you. And Nam Prabhu can come and all of your actions outward right now, the chitta vrittis are so strong, trying to push outwardly, trying to say, no, I have to do this. Even this morning, I'm sitting and chanting, Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, and remembering, I'm the witness. I'm trying to bring everything inward. I'm beyond time. I'm the Lord. Please see me. I'm so sorry for all of the nonsense that I do, my inattentiveness, and then all of a sudden I hear a little mouse in the pujari room over there, getting in the grains, and I'm like, no, go back. But I'm then at that point I'm outside again, and there it is, And I spent much of my chanting battling. I'm trying to go in, but no, the mental vrittis, no, but you can't let a mouse run around in the house. The Airbnb's thing, this and that, and next thing you know, it's a spiral. And then, and then I'm meditating on ways to how I solve the problem. I know, I'll have someone, they'll be taking all the grains outside, and while I'm chanting. This is the battle, actually.
I don't know if it's a good time to say it, but this mouse that you put in the berry park, it came back because it was looking for its family. So it's the same mouse that you caught.
Yeah. Who put him in Berry Park? I don't know.
Madhav, I think.
Yeah.
The mouse that you caught.
Did we catch a mouse? Did Madhav catch one?
Yeah, they put them in Berry Park and it came back.
I don't know what it is, but we have to. I think our problem is we have grains in there. Anyway, this is what I was meditating on today when I was supposed to be chanting, but this is what I was meditating on. But actually, you'll have to. What he will do, and then also us, if we really want to go beyond this platform, is suspend all the actions of the senses, even from the outside, and we can be impervious to the interactions of the senses, which are influenced by the modes of material nature. After renouncing all material duties, including getting the mice, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path. Now, purport. Dhritarashtra had attained by the yogic process the stage of negation of all sorts of material reaction. The effects of the material modes of nature draw the victim to indefatigable desires, meaning it'll never be fatigued. It'll always keep going more and more and more. That's in Bhagavad Gita. We know this verse. What's the sinful enemy of all of us in this world?
Lust.
It's lust, which is what? Desire. Just desire more and more. And then once you get a desire, it's not like, I'm satisfied. And then what comes? It comes. What's that? Greed, which means more desires come. Oh, that was good. We can have it even better. You fulfill one desire, and 10 more pop up, and then you start fulfilling, and it's just an indefatigable. That's how you say it. Indefatigable process. It just never stops. Even up until death. I'm watching old people, because I'm studying relatives, family members, and like I was with my mom and my dad here, and my mom is telling me all of her desires, and she's telling me all the problems her body is having in fulfilling her desires. I'm like, you guys are just practically just getting ready to die at this point. I was like being not like, but but they were like shocked to hear me say that. Like, oh, that's real nice. I'm like, no, that's what's happening. That's, don't you know? And my dad's like, you're right, because he's got the spiritual mind, and he has like, we have like a weird dark sense of humor in our family, so we're all like laughing at the dark reality. But yes, this is the thing. But it's indefatigable desires of enjoying matter. But one can escape such false enjoyment by the yogic process. So this is actually what we need to do, is yoga. Including bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga is the topmost yoga, but yoga has to be done. Yoga has to be done. There's the Aroha Pantha paths of yoga, Karma yoga, Jnana yoga, and Ashtanga yoga, which is Dhritarashtra. That's by one's own endeavors. You're doing the process. Bhakti yoga is, it's actually all by the mercy of the Lord and also by the mercy of but even all the other yogas, they rely on bhakti yoga as well. But this is what's happening. Every sense is always busy in searching for its food, and thus the conditioned soul is assaulted from all sides and has no chance to become steady in any pursuit. As I was noticing this morning, as the mouse thing, and just all sides, even internally I was pretty good. I was like, wow, I got this, and then externally something's coming, so you never know. So Maharaj Yudhishthira was advised by Narada not to disturb his uncle by attempting to bring him back home. He was now beyond the attraction of anything material. The material modes of nature, the gunas, have their different modes of activities. But above the material modes of nature is a spiritual mode, which is absolute. Nirguna means without reaction. The spiritual mode and its effect are identical. Therefore, the spiritual quality is distinguished from its material counterpart by the word nirguna. After complete suspension of the material modes of nature, one is admitted to the spiritual sphere. An action dictated by the spiritual modes is called devotional service, or bhakti. Bhakti is therefore nirguna, attained by direct contact with the Absolute. So you can say, like, if you just had a basic understanding of Shastra, you'd see the word nirguna, and you say no qualities. Yes, Mayavadi conclusion. We need to, this is all illusion. So we just need to get rid of this whole thing. But actually, with a deeper understanding of nirguna, no material qualities, no that of the material actions. And actually from that platform, the real actions that can actually take place, and that's bhakti. And so Prabhupada is telling this because it might not be obvious by just a surface level glance of the Bhagavatam. That's why many people, they read the Bhagavatam and they say, yes, Mayavadi is the conclusion. That's why, there's so many Bhagavat Saptahas out there, and very few not very few, most realize the bhakti is the conclusion of the Bhagavatam. It's pretty obvious, even with a surface level study. But there's many, they say Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, this is the conclusion of Bhagavatam. But the Bhagavatam is giving all of these, but and also, the nature of poetry is, it's poetry. The nature of poetry is to not always directly say everything, because that doesn't make poetry, so sweet and relishable. If you're just so blunt all the time, I've experienced this in my life. I come from a very blunt family. Not everyone likes blunt, but if you say something in such a way where it's understood what you said, but it came across in a little bit more tact and sweetly and like this. So this is the nature of poetry. The Bhagavatam, it will be very direct in many times, but also it will leave much to be understood under the levels.
There is a saying in India that I will say in Hindi and I will translate for you in the same context. It's a very common thing that whenever my grandmother is irritated with me, she always says that कौवा किसका हल लेता है, कोयल किसको दे देती है, दो बस मीठे बोल सुना के सबके मन को मोह लेती है. The translation is, what crow takes away and what a koel, a cuckoo bird gives, but just by saying beautiful words, it elevates the person's heart and the mood. So it's just the same speech, but in a way that you say it, it can transform the heart of the person.
Yes, yes.
Like a croak says the same sound that's coming from two birds, but in a
Mm.
different way that it says the
Yes.
same thing. And like it's very important how you say it, because it changes the heart of the person the speech is coming from.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's very important.
This
Like
is-
it's not a very small thing; it's a very profound.
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, I mean, there has to be austerity in speech.
Yeah.
You know, if you want to have sattvic speech, you have to go through a few litmus tests. Is it necessary? Is it true? Is it kind? Is it pleasing? You know, how you said it. If any one of them is off, then you don't say it. Yeah, but it's very difficult, you know, because oh no, it's true. I got to tell everybody, you know, this thing. But is it like Vidura knew that the Yadu dynasty had all had like a fratricidal war and everyone got murdered, and that you know, and Arjuna was implicated. He wasn't in the war, but he was now having to deal with all the burials. But he still didn't tell. Why? Because it wasn't pleasing for them to hear, and it wasn't necessary for them to hear. So yeah, this is very important when we're trying to learn how to communicate, because a lot of times we can think, well, it's true, or we can think it's necessary, or we can think it's kind. You know, a lot of people like to give very sweet words, but it's not necessary, nor is it true. You know, so so then nope, shouldn't say it. Not in the mode of goodness, and like that. So we have to the litmus test: is it true? Is it necessary? Is it pleasing? So, yeah, then so you make sure you think before you speak. But I don't think that often before I speak. I just, you know. So then I get a bad result when I do like that. But anyway, very good. So he did this thing. After renouncing all material duties, he must become immovably established beyond all sources of hindrances on the path. There's going to be so many hindrances that's going to try and tempt you away from going inward. Maya is not interested in you getting free so easily. You have to really, you really want this thing, and then even at that point, you need grace. But we'll see. 57. Sava adyatanad rajan. Parata panchamehani. Kalevarang hasyati svang. Tacha basmi bhavishyati. Sah he va in all probability. Adya, today. Tanat, from. Rajan, O king. Parata, ahead. Panchame, on the 5th. Ahani, day. Kalevaram, body. Hasyati, shall quit. Svam, his own. Tat, that. Cha, also. Basmi, ashes. Bhavishyati, will turn into. O king, he will quit his body, most probably on the 5th day from today, and his body will turn to ashes. Purport. Narada Muni's prophecy prohibited Yudhishthira Maharaj from going to the place where his uncle was staying, because even after quitting the body by his own mystic power, Dhritarashtra would not be in need of any funeral ceremony. Narada Muni indicated that his body by itself would burn to ashes. The perfection of the yoga system is attained by such mystic power. The yogi is able to quit his body by his own choice of time and can attain any planet he desires by turning the present body into ashes by self-made fire. Again, this is just going to be an intellectual exercise. It's not something we really might have deep realization. I mean, you could try it, but don't expect to try anything else in this lifetime. So, but anyhow, yeah, it's pretty far out, you know, through the power of yogic mysticism, he can somehow make a self-made fire and quit his body and direct his consciousness to go wherever he'd like. So this is the gift given to, what's that?
There is documentation historically of spontaneous human combustion.
Absolutely, yeah. No, and there's experience. People have studied yogis being able to do this. They've seen it, you know. But yeah, for me, intellectual exercise, just okay. That's pretty far out. How many more verses? Oh, we only have 2 more in this. It's 909 though. Let's just do one more and see what happens. Dahyamane gnibirdehe Patyu patni sahotaje Vahistita pating sadvi Tam agnim anuvekshati Dahyamane, while it is burning. Agnibi, by the fire. Dehe, the body. Patyu, of the husband. Patni, the wife. Saha utaje, along with the thatched cottage. Bahi, outside. Stita, situated. Patim, unto the husband. Sadvi, the chaste lady. Tam, that. Agnim, fire. Anuvekshati, looking with great attention, will enter the fire. Hello, good morning. Someone should tell those shoes. While outside, observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power, along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention. So even this is like a process of bhakti, and just see how you could, like, I'm thinking, oh, now I'm reading, and then I'm thinking about the shoes and telling her later that she shouldn't have shoes in the house. Anything, external things. Because this is all, in bhakti, all the processes of bhakti, hearing, chanting, remembering, archan, worship, everything should be meditation, actually. There should be no external things, if you're doing them properly. All the processes of bhakti are the highest yoga. These are yoga, so we should be doing them with the most rapt attention, actually. But even now I'm trying to read, give some kirtan, present, and then this external thing, So this is the obstacle, actually, we're always dealing with. Always dealing in our bhakti. There's always something pulling us away from the meditation, from the actual yoga process. So this is, these are good realizations. So anyway, translation. I'm going to read it again because I was distracted. While outside observing her husband, who will burn in the fire of mystic power along with his thatched cottage, his chaste wife will enter the fire with rapt attention. Rapt. Being fully absorbed. Gandhari was an ideal chaste lady, a life companion of her husband, and therefore when she saw her husband burning in the fire of mystic yoga, along with his cottage of leaves, she despaired. She left home after losing her 100 sons, and in the forest she saw that her most beloved husband was also burning. Now she actually felt alone, and therefore she entered the fire of her husband and followed her husband to death. This entering of a chaste lady into the fire of her dead husband is called the sati rite, and the action is considered to be most perfect for a woman. In a later age, this sati rite became an obnoxious criminal affair because the ceremony was forced upon even an unwilling woman. In this fallen age, it is not possible for any lady to follow the sati rite as chastely as it was done by Gandhari and others in past ages. A chaste wife like Gandhari would feel the separation of her husband to be more burning than actual fire. Such a lady can observe the sati rite voluntarily, and there is no criminal force by anyone. When the rite became a formality only and force was applied upon a lady to follow the principle, actually it became criminal, and therefore the ceremony was to be stopped by state law. This prophecy of Narad Muni to Maharaj Yudhishthira forbade him to go to his widowed aunt. So Narad Muni is giving the prophecy to Yudhishthira, and ultimately, this is kind of hard to understand, but this is like the perfect meditation, said to be reached perfection in performing one's duties in this material world for a woman, this sati rite. Now, and it's called sati because sati in the Bhagavatam, the pastime is told, how she actually self-immolated herself, another mystic yoga fire, when she no longer wanted to be part of Daksha, Maharaj's family. And why? Because he insulted Lord Shiva. He did Vaishnava aparad. And she was so disgusted with the severity of his Vaishnava aparad that she no longer wanted to be associated with anything to do with the Vaishnava aparadi Daksha. And her body, being a daughter of his, she's like, I can't have this body anymore. And it had such a strong yogic meditation, self-immolated. So this is why it's called sati, the sati rite. But it's not like when I die, I'm going to be leaving in my will, my wife better jump on my funeral pyre, because even though it's considered most perfect for a Vedic woman to consider in Kali Yuga that we'll be able to have this most perfect meditation, and she would feel the burning of my separation to be worse than jumping in fire, so she would jump in the fire as a better alternative. It's most likely not going to happen. She'll have the kids and all these things, and she's not going to be, husband's gone, I'm going. I don't know, maybe she'll surprise us, but I don't think so. So anyhow, but it's a criminal affair if we were, to try and force her. It's quite literally criminal by all laws now, including Indian law. But still, it actually does happen. There are some instances, maybe you guys have heard of instances of maybe people who've observed the sati rite. I don't know. You tell me. Any modern instances you guys have heard in our Indian friends here?
In 1700s, it was used to be enforced by some.
Yes.
But there was some revolution that happened.
Yes. What about even? I've heard even of at least a Prabhupada quote that it happened even in modern times. But I was wondering, maybe you knew somebody who did like this. So it's practically not even in India you will practice this anymore. So anyhow, there's two more. We're saving them for tomorrow. It's too late. But anyhow, these are some things. Actually, we'll do this in maybe 3 days, because I think Keshava Gopal, you could give something tomorrow during this time, if it meets with your schedule. So we'll continue this in a few days' time and then begin the new chapter. So thank you for hearing Bhagavatam. Actually, we have all of our processes of bhakti, that we're doing. So try to actually, I thought today's kind of point was nice. Try to be wrapped in your attention. Try to really make it a yoga process. And that means taking the process inwardly and not letting external distractions or material distractions. Everything can be a yoga in bhakti yoga. You could live your life in yoga. That's what the ideal is. It's almost certain that it will not happen like that on the flip of a switch. Unless you have an incredibly high-powered sadhu sangha, and then on top of that, you somehow appeal their heart where they just want to give you everything all at once or something like that. But since that's most likely not going to be the case, and there's some process that we have to go through, try to catch yourself from how you're going out of yoga. Or maybe come to the cruel realization that I almost never go into yoga at all. And that's also very helpful. So anyway, Hare Krishna. I wish you all Bhakti Yoga. I wish myself first Bhakti Yoga. And Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai.